Part 77. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 761. I shed tears silently. Cheng picked her up, put her on the sofa, turned around and took a tissue to wipe the tears off her face. But the tears seemed to never end. No matter how much you wipe them off, you can't wipe them off. Cheng was discouraged, hugged her in his arms, and stroked her slightly trembling back. "Why did you kill them?" I stared blankly at Cheng, and asked in a hoarse voice, "Is it to silence?" Asking Xiao Jingjia to replace the medicine prepared by Muzening is to kill me. These words floated from the tip of her tongue, as if they were spoken from someone else's mouth. Even now, she still can't believe it. How could Cheng want to kill her? Cheng was silent for a while, then said, "Listen to my explanation." "Okay, you explain." I stared at him very seriously, like staring at the last ray of light left in the sky before the sun sets, as if the light would disappear in the blink of an eye. "Cheng, explain it to me." She grabbed his hand and squeezed it tightly, like a life-saving straw. "Is someone framing you? Those photos in the basement are all fake. Like that, right?" She pinned her hopes on his denial, but Cheng was very cruel. He said, "Those photos are true. I loved you very early on. I settled down in Zionghai City. I wanted to find you, but Huo Zheng suddenly had an accident. I can't get away. After you stabilize, you have already married Muzening." I was stunned. "Then, you started to deal with Muzening." When the old things were discovered, Cheng's eyes didn't move. He didn't panic. Instead he felt an unexpected calm in his heart. Perhaps subconsciously, he knew that there would be such a day sooner or later. "I didn't think about it that much at first. I just thought he was not pleasing to the eye, and wanted to cause him some trouble." Cheng pursed his lips lightly. His tone was understated, and he didn't think there was anything wrong with what he did. "I'm jealous of him," Cheng said, arranged Xiao Jingjia to seduce him, but he didn't fall for it. It happened that a well-known hypnotist came back from abroad at that time. I thought it would be interesting if I could hypnotize him to fall in love with Xiao Jingjia, but it's a pity to try. I have tried several times without success. It is much more difficult to make one person fall in love with another person than imagined. The hypnotist made him fall in love with Xiao Jingjia's body. I am satisfied with the final result. He really left. Don't leave Xiao Jingjia anymore. From then on, Muzening lost his confidence in front of Suzi. He sought comfort from Xiao Jingjia. Only Xiao Jingjia could make him feel like a man. I recalled that time. At that time, Muzening was depressed. She thought it was because the company couldn't turn around, but she didn't know it was because of this. She was stunned, feeling that things had fallen into a strange situation. Although she and Muzening were strangers now, at least at that time, she had feelings for Muzening, and she also had expectations for marriage. What should she do if someone hurts her husband and destroys her marriage? What would any woman do? "You shouldn't be like this," Musa murmured, her voice hoarse. "You are brothers, no matter what, you shouldn't be like this." "It's because he's too greedy." A cold light flashed in Cheng's eyes. "He couldn't do without Xiao Jingjia, and he couldn't bear to part with you. He asked Xiao Jingjia to add ingredients to your wine, so I changed the medicine." I asked, "What did you replace it with?" Cheng pursed his lips and said nothing. His expression was obscure, as if he was in deep pain. He was silent for a long time and said to her, "Zi, I'm sorry." I took a tight breath. The answer she wanted was not "I'm sorry." "You killed me." Her blood froze, her whole body felt cold. "Arranged mages and horcruxes early, waiting for my death, so that I can collect my body. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again." Author, HandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 762. No, Murong Cheng hugged her tightly. It's a kind of nerve drug, which will make people feel bored and irritable in a short period of time, and may also produce side effects of drowsiness, fatigue, and headache. I just don't want him to get you. Zizi, I can't kill you, and there's no reason to do that. But I'm dead. Muzi, I said. She's dead, that's the truth. Even if I want you again, there is no need to kill you. I can kill Muzening. Then I will pursue you openly. Then why did I die? Muzi, I was still entangled in this. If the drug didn't kill someone, how did she die? Murong Cheng wiped the tears off her face, led her up and walked outside. Come with me somewhere. Muzi, I let him drag her out and get into the car. She didn't know where the car was going, and she didn't ask. She stared blankly at the darkness outside the window, repeatedly recalling every sentence of Murong Cheng and every detail she found in the basement, trying to restore the truth. But she finally found that no matter what the truth is, her death is inseparable from Murong Cheng. Murong Cheng was worried about her. He supported the steering wheel with one hand, and held her hand firmly with one free hand. Muzi's fingers were cold. The car drove for a long time, maybe 2 hours, maybe longer. Muzi wondered if she was still in Xinjiang now. Finally they came to a car recycling plant. The lights of the factory building paled all around, and the scrap metal products reflected the cold light. Murong Cheng rang the bell of the big iron gate outside, waited for a while, and saw a lame old man walking slowly on crutches from a distance through the big iron gate. The old man should know Murong Cheng. He opened the courtyard door without asking anything after seeing him. Muzi followed Murong Cheng all the way in, bypassing the factory building in front, and pushed open another door, and further inside, there was a dark underground passage. Bloody smell and musty smell rushed to the face, making people sick. Muzi paused, vaguely guessing that this is the torture chamber of the Huo family. Murong Cheng led her in, and explained, the person who killed you was a killer sent by an uncle of the Huo family. He disguised himself as a waiter to get on the yacht, and then pushed you into the water while you were on the order, pretending to be an accidental fall after Jiang's accident. He dived and fled without being discovered by anyone, and he was not on the list of police investigations. This kind of professional killer is very strict, and it took me a while to get him to name the mastermind behind the scenes. The smell in the torture room was terrible, and even if the ventilation fan at the vent kept whistling and turning, the thick bloody smell still couldn't dissipate. Fortunately, there were no screams. Since Huo's family came down to peace, the execution room has been much quieter, and most of the prisoners are just hanging their last breaths. Muzi kept her eyes straight, and tried not to look at the miserable conditions of the prisoners around her. Until Murong Cheng stopped in front of one of the torture racks. A person was tied to the iron frame, not so much a human being as a walking corpse, naked, dripping with blood. There was no piece of good meat, and needles were inserted in many places, delivering nutrient solution. Presumably the torturers were worried about him will die too soon. Let him speak, Murong Cheng ordered the people in the execution room. Someone poured a basin of ice water on the rack. It's really ice water, with fine pieces of ice in the water. The other party regained a little consciousness, like pressing a mechanical switch, and began to say without emotion, "Second uncle sent me there. He found out that the woman Huo Rong likes is Suzy I, and he wanted to tie Suzy I to threaten her Huo Rong. Later I heard that Huo Rong invited a mage to perform rituals for Huo Shizhen Shao's resurrection, but the second uncle changed his mind. Women and brothers, he wanted to see how Huo Rong would choose." Muzi could imagine how many times this confession was tortured and recounted by hearing the tone of her voice without any ups and downs. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Blessed to have each other in this life. Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HhandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 763. Muzi I remembered a past event. Not long after she was reborn, she learned from Wang Zhan that an uncle of the Huo family had angered Murong Cheng, and Murong Cheng killed the other's family, leaving only a baby. Now that I think about it, the family that died was probably the so-called second uncle. Murong Cheng took Muzi I out of the torture room, and the two of them didn't speak during the whole journey. When getting into the car, Murong Cheng received a call from Bai Wei. Bai Wei asked Murong Cheng if he found his sister, and Murong Cheng said he did. He comforted his mother, saying that Muzi I was out shopping with his classmates, and his phone ran out of battery, so he couldn't make a call, and he was about to go home now. Muzi I sat silently in the car, and when she heard Murong Cheng's nonsense, she suddenly envied Bai Wei. Murong Cheng wove a beautiful dream for Bai Wei. In the dream, the son was filial and mediocre, without conspiracy or killing. The family just lived an ordinary life, living the most monotonous and peaceful life. Would you be happy if you lived in a dream all your life? Muzi I doesn't want to think deeply. No matter how beautiful the dream is, it's just a dream. The more beautiful the dream is, the more desolate it will be when waking up. Murong Cheng hung up the phone and got into the car. He was not in a hurry to start the car. What happened today made him feel irritable, subconsciously touched his pocket to smoke a cigarette, but found nothing, remembered that he had promised Muzi I that he would quit smoking, so he gave up, and unconsciously tapped the steering wheel with his fingers. Huo Zheng has saved me many times. He became a vegetable because of me. Murong Cheng opened his mouth and said in a low voice, I have a friend named Jia in business. You may have heard Wang Zhan mention it. He is very fascinated by metaphysics, and likes to meet people like eminent monks and mages, and after knowing that Huo Zheng fell into a deep coma, he introduced Huang Logui to me. He laughed self-deprecatingly. I didn't believe this at all before. After I found someone to investigate, I found that this old man Huang really has some skills, and he is extremely greedy for money. As long as the money is enough, even if it is a forbidden technique, he can use it all. Muzi I asked, you're looking for Huang Logui to wake up Huo Zheng who has turned into a vegetable. Medically, a vegetative person is in a deep coma, but according to their understanding, a vegetative person is a departed soul. Murong Cheng said lightly, the soul is separated from the body, so people cannot wake up. This is a forbidden technique, the risk is very high, and the materials needed are difficult to obtain. Even if the Huo family is rich and powerful, it took a long time to gather what Huang Logui needs. Those things. He paused, and then said, but I hesitated. Although Huo Zheng was in a deep coma, he still had the possibility of waking up. However, if he performed the resurrection ritual, once the ritual failed and his soul was damaged, Huo Zheng would never be able to wake up again. Coming. Muzi I nodded blankly. She understood. Murong Cheng first sought the mage to save Huo Zheng, but when he hesitated, she was pushed into the river by the killer arranged by her second uncle, and she died. Murong Cheng used all the preparations he had made before on her body, but her body had rotted away, so Huang Logui asked Murong Cheng to find a suitable substitute, so he had information about those young women in the basement. Everything makes sense. Why did I become Muzi I? She asked. I don't know, Murong Cheng said in a low voice. The ceremony failed, Huang Logui ran away, and I was also very surprised when I found you turned into Muzi I. He glanced at Muzi I and said, after all, this matter is too evil. The reason why I keep those things in the basement is to prevent them from being useful when I find Huang Logui in the future. Can it be used? Muzi I stared at him in a daze. You mean? Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HhandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 764. Meaning is. Kill those girls and take their bodies if necessary? The association made her shudder. When entering Muzi I's body, she knew that Mu Zi committed suicide. Suicide means that Mu Zi voluntarily gave up her life, which allows her to occupy Mu Zi's body with a little peace of mind. But what if it was premeditated? Her memory has been traced forward, and all the inconspicuous details hidden in the corners have emerged, just like her previous rigorous investigations. Su Xian was admitted to the hospital with Mu Zi at the beginning because of drowning. Murong Cheng rescued Su Xian from the water, sent him to the hospital, and then pretended to be her boyfriend. Why did Su Xian drown? Accident, or victimization? To this day, even though the relationship between the two is so close, Mu Zi still cannot accept Murong Cheng's behavior style, which is ruthless, full of contempt and disrespect for life. Murong Cheng said, "I don't understand these things like Taoism and secret arts. I just do what a mage needs. No matter what kind of horcrux the mage needs, dead or alive, he will arrange it accordingly." Mu Zi's face was pale and she didn't say a word. "Don't be afraid." Murong Cheng brushed her long hair from the side of her face behind her ears, and said softly, "There will be nothing more. I'll get someone to look at it for you, and it will be healed soon. As long as you get through the last period, the soul will never accidentally leave the body again, and you will be the same as a normal person." Murong Cheng's comforting words could not melt the frost in Mu Zi's heart. She sat stiffly. Her brain flashed through many emotions and reactions, but none of them were suitable. Her face was numb, almost dull. After all, she was still killed by him. If it wasn't for his morbid love, she wouldn't be targeted by the killer. If he hadn't changed Mu Zhening's medicine, she would not have been powerless to fight back against the killer. Even after falling into the water, she couldn't even splash out. Murong Cheng probably also thought about this, so he felt guilty, so he said, "I'm sorry." However, this sorry was extremely superficial, and it only came from her death. He didn't understand at all that what he did not only killed her, but also ruined the lives of many people. Mu Zi was confused for a moment. She was not sure what attitude she should use to face Murong Cheng. Murong Cheng drove her back home. It was already past 10 o'clock at night. Bai Wei stayed in the living room anxiously, and heaved a long sigh of relief when he saw the two brothers and sisters coming back together. "I'm so worried," Bai Wei sighed and asked them, "Have you had dinner yet?" Murong Cheng took a look at Mu Zi and said, "No, is there any food at home?" The food was all on the table, untouched and completely cold. Bai Wei brought all the dishes back to the kitchen, reheated them before bringing them out. Seeing Musa sitting at the dining table in a daze, she couldn't help asking, "Zizi, what's the matter? Is there no dish you like?" Before Mu Zi could reply, Murong Cheng pushed Bai Wei upstairs and persuaded her, "She's just tired from playing and doesn't have much energy. Mom, you should go back to bed quickly, it's already late." Half persuading and half forcing, he forced Bai Wei to go upstairs. When Murong Cheng turned around again, he saw that Mu Zi was already eating slowly with the bowl and chopsticks. He was relieved. Being able to eat means that the situation is not too bad. It's been so long. As long as she doesn't dig into the corner, sooner or later she will accept it. However, why did she suddenly find out? Does what happened today have anything to do with Mu Zhening? Murong Cheng thought silently in his heart, maybe he should teach Mu Zhening a lesson. Mu Zi, who was eating, suddenly raised his head and said, "Kill him." Murong Cheng was slightly taken aback. "That killer," Mu Zi said, "give him a good time, don't torture him anymore. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again." Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 765. The killer was only serving the mastermind behind the scenes, and the mastermind behind the scenes, that uncle of the Huo family, was too old to withstand Murong Cheng's punishment, and returned to the west after a few strokes, so Murong Cheng vented his remaining anger on the killer. Mu Zi is unwilling to kill, but if the other party is going to suffer inhumanely under Murongcheng's hands, she would rather take the other party's life. This is not the Holy Mother, and it has nothing to do with kindness. It is a principle of being a person and doing things, and it is an established thinking formed by years of indoctrination and living environment. This is something imprinted in the bones and cannot be changed. In the world, there is a huge gap between her and Murongcheng. She knew the existence of this gap before, but she would ignore it subconsciously, or she was fascinated by love, and always took it for granted that if there were difficulties, she would overcome them, and as long as the two of them worked together, they would always solve them. But now, she is more and more suspicious now. Can she and Murongcheng really work together? Could Murongcheng not kill someone for her sake? In his position, it is almost impossible. What about her? For Murongcheng, can she endure murder, frame, and abuse that violate the law and public morality? If so, isn't her dream of pursuing fairness and justice a joke? She has no confidence. After eating silently, Muzi went back to her room to rest, and Murongcheng always followed her, as if worried that she would think wildly and not give her a chance to be alone. He wrapped her in his arms. She used to feel warm and secure, but now she only feels stuffy. Muzi remained motionless in his arms, her thick eyelashes drooping, hiding the emotions in her eyes. "I want to stay alone for a while," she said in a low voice. "Go back to your room and sleep." "Why do you want to be alone for a while?" Murongcheng said. "You want to be quiet. I don't talk to bother you. You feel unhappy, you can blame me and blame me, but if you want to be alone, Zizi, it's impossible. Do you think I will let go now?" Muzi's eyes were sour, and she wanted to cry again. It was as if Murongcheng had tied a rope around her body. As long as he sensed that her heart was alienated, he would tighten that rope, tighten it again, and bind her tightly by his side, not letting her escape. Even if Muzi just wanted to hide in the shell temporarily, he wouldn't allow it. Muzi finally fell asleep in his arms. She didn't sleep well this time, and woke up many times during the night. She didn't open her eyes, but she could feel the solid chest of the man beside her, and the steady and powerful heartbeat. The next morning, Muzi woke up, and what caught his eyes was Murongcheng's deep, dark eyes, which were filled with bloodshot eyes, as if he hadn't closed his eyes all night. Muzi didn't dare to look too much, got up, changed clothes and washed. Murongcheng looked at her quietly on the bed. When Muzi opened the door to go to the bathroom, he said, "Today I will take you to school." Muzi's footsteps froze. She paused at the door, was silent for a moment, and said, "Okay." Murongcheng drove Muzi to the school gate. Before getting out of the car, he grabbed Muzi and wanted to kiss her. Muzi dodged subconsciously and moved away slightly. The kiss landed on the corner of her lips. There was a bitterness, pervading in the hearts of the two of them. Muzi grasped the shoulder strap of her skullbag tightly, trying to pretend nothing happened, but she couldn't look Murongcheng directly in the eyes. She didn't want that either. But her heart was in a mess. She needed time to sort it out, but he refused to give her time, maybe because she was worried that she would settle in time and separate him from her world. "I'm going in," Muzi said softly. Murongcheng patted her head. "Well, let's go in." She walked into the school with her skullbag on her back, and her figure quickly merged with other students in school uniform. Murongcheng looked at it for a while, then called Wang Zhan, "Arrange a few people to lock down the school." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Blessed to have each other in this life. Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 766. Murong assumes that Muzi will want to escape. In fact, this idea is a bit absurd. Musa lives a 2.1 line life at school and home, which is very regular. No matter where she goes, there are traces to follow. To go everywhere. Unless, she doesn't even want this identity, and she also gives up the opportunity to go to the Judicial Training Institute. How can that be possible? Becoming a prosecutor has been her wish for 2 lifetimes. Murong Cheng is very aware of this, but he still feels uneasy. This feeling is like returning to the first time between him and her, monitoring, following, coercing, controlling every move, as if not firmly grasped in the palm of his hand, she will fly away at any time. Although he also knew that violence would make her feel disgusted, but Murong Cheng, who was used to this way, couldn't think of a better way than violence. Leave quietly and give her time and space to calm down? Are there still not many such plots in TV dramas? Either party in the couple, as long as they propose to separate temporarily and calm down, the final result will be a complete separation. Thinking of this, Murong Cheng's mood would be terrible. Wang Zhan was worried on the other end of the phone, and persuaded, "Master, our people have already gone to Xianghai City one after another, and there are not many people left. If we transfer some to the school, the defense around you will be weakened. What's more, if there is any movement on your side, if the 13th young master finds out, Miss Mu will be exposed, and the loss outweighs the gain." Huo Zheng, who lost his memory, didn't know that Huo Rong's second identity was Murong Cheng. Now Murong Cheng is at a disadvantage compared to Huo Zheng. If Huo Zheng finds out about monitoring Mu Zi, Murong Cheng will become very passive. Murong Cheng thought about it for a while, but in the end he was still worried, and said, "Find 2 reliable people, and don't let her notice." Wang Zhan had no choice but to do so, sighed, and told Murong Cheng, "Today, 13th young master met with some old uncles and talked for a long time in the ward. Our people were all dismissed, and even Miss Huo Lin was not allowed to attend. By the way, Miss Holly has asked you to meet at night." "Understood," Murong Cheng responded lightly, and hung up the phone. At this time, the school bell rang, and the students who hadn't had time to step into the school gate rushed in, and the surroundings quickly became empty. Murong Cheng sat in the car and closed his eyes for a nap, rested for a while, and drove away. After Mu Zi entered the classroom, he rang the bell not long after. There is no teacher in the morning self-study, the students read books and do the questions, and some are reciting the text in a low voice. Mu Zi was not in the mood today, holding the textbook, he didn't read a word for a long time. Zhuang Jia winked at Mu Zi, Zi. Mu Zi turned to look at her with a confused expression. "Lend me to copy your homework, I forgot to do it." Zhuang Jia clasped his hands together and bowed to her flatteringly. Muse's thoughts wandered back to the school, and she muttered embarrassingly, "I forgot to do it too." Zhuang Jia's eyes widened in surprise, and he couldn't believe that there are times when a top student forgets to study. Taking advantage of the absence of the self-study teacher, the two asked Zhang Xinyuan for help. Zhang Xinyuan angrily took out the homework and complained in a low voice, "You two are going too far. You will go abroad after a year, and the other has already been admitted to the school. You don't have to worry about your final grades, do you? You don't even do your homework. I didn't finish until 12 o'clock last night." The two seized the time to copy their homework, and it was time to hand it in when the self-study was over. "Zhuang Jia is okay, I just forgot the math homework, and it will be done in a while." But Mu Zi was far behind. In addition to mathematics and Chinese, there was also an 800-word English composition, which could not be copied. In the end, he had to honestly admit his mistakes to the English teacher. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 767. The teachers in the third grade care most about how many key points the class can take in the exam. For Mu Zi, they pass by with their eyes closed. They just give a few words of advice to make Mu Zi avoid arrogance and impetuosity. Learn with an open mind, and don't be complacent just because of a small achievement. The teacher was also looking out for Mu Zi's good, seeing that she was a good seed, and worried that she would get carried away because she was admitted to the training institute. It's just that this kind of scolding is a bit embarrassing. There are people coming and going in the office, and when other teachers see Mu Zi, they will look at Mu Zi in surprise. When Mu Zi came out of the office, she saw Zhuang Jia and Zhang Xinyuan waiting for her outside, with worried and curious expressions on their faces. Of course I was curious, it was the first time I saw Mu Zi being scolded. The teacher didn't say anything, Zhang Xinyuan asked. Mu Zi smiled embarrassingly, well, let me complete the homework and hand it in as soon as possible. Zhuang Jia disagreed and said, make it up as soon as possible, and I didn't say whether to make it up today or tomorrow. I think it's okay if you don't make it up. Now that the teacher is busy at the end of the term, I will forget about it later. After finishing speaking, he urged, let's go to the restaurant for dinner. Mu Zi managed to pull herself together, and went to the student cafeteria for lunch with them. She really didn't have an appetite, so she just asked for a set meal, and ate it slowly, looking very silent. Zhuang Jia bought 3 ice creams and shared one with each of them. Zhang Xinyuan stared and said, you eat ice cream in winter? And you're having lunch now? Aren't you afraid of diarrhea? It's okay, Zhuang Jia looked relaxed, I often eat like this, eat quickly, or it will melt. She turned her face and said to Mu Zi, eat some sweets to make you feel better. Look at you, you have been frowning since you came to school in the morning. Zhang Xinyuan also felt that Mu Zi was weird, but he didn't have the nerve to ask, for fear of touching his privacy. Mu Zi took the ice cream, staring at the layers of ice cream in a daze. Zhuang Jia and Zhang Xinyuan looked at each other, not understanding what happened to Mu Zi. The ice cream that Zhuang Jia bought is the kind that can be DIY freely. Ice cream is the main ingredient. You can add jam, chocolate sauce, cheese sponge cake, oatmeal rings, and sprinkle a layer of Oreo biscuits or colored fudge on the outside. And a thin egg roll inserted. Girls like it? Mu Zi asked, if you bought a cup of ice cream, and while you were eating it, someone knocked you over and the ice cream fell on the floor, and the other party bought you another cup of ice cream, would you forgive him? Zhang Xinyuan felt baffled, it's just a cup of ice cream, why not forgive me? What Zizi said must be a metaphor, Zhuang Jia reminded Zhang Xinyuan, and said seriously, I think it depends on the other party's motives. If he didn't do it on purpose, I can hardly forgive him. If it was on purpose, then this is not over. It's hard. Zhang Xinyuan frowned, nowadays many people bump into others and say they were careless, but maybe it was a deliberate prank. Being suspected of cheating is even more insidious. Absolutely unforgivable, Zhuang Jia said righteously. Mu Zi was thinking, did Murong Cheng do it on purpose? No, the appearance of the killer was an accident, but what he did to Mu Zening and Xiao Jingjia was intentional. He knew that she might get hurt because of it, but he still did it. It's somewhere between intentional and unintentional. Mu Zi couldn't make a conclusion. Is that intentional suspicion? Zhuang Jia shook her head bluntly, I still can't forgive him, even if he bought me new ice cream. What if the new ice cream doesn't taste good? I like to add cheese sponge cake to ice cream, which contains is it? I still like to add chocolate sauce, is there any in it? Knock out the apple in my hand and stuff me with an orange, it seems that there is no loss, but have you asked my opinion? What if I don't like it? Mu Zi was disappointed. Yes, what if you don't like it? Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 768. If she hadn't fallen in love with Murong Cheng, after learning the truth, it would be such a terrible thing to find out that there is such a person controlling her life. All the confusion now stems from her falling in love with him. Because of this, he hated his bad behavior, but he couldn't hate him as a person. Zhuang Jie made a generous statement, but Zhang Xinyuan half understood. Zizi, why do you ask this? Zhang Xinyuan asked her suspiciously, is this question very important? Feeling lost, Mu Zi sighed softly, I don't know either. She was just too depressed, she couldn't figure out many things, but she still couldn't get an answer when she asked. After lunch, they left from the student cafeteria. Zhuang Jie held the unfinished ice cream and ate it spoon by spoon. Unfortunately, a boy ran past and bumped into Zhuang Jie's shoulder. The ice cream fell out of his hand and hit him on the ground. The other party quickly apologized and said that he could buy another one for Zhuang Jie. Zhuang Jie looked at the scattered ice cream on the ground, pursed her lips, and said depressedly, forget it, it's okay. The other party seemed to be in a hurry, so he didn't insist on hearing the words, said sorry again, and ran away in a hurry. Zhang Xinyuan laughed at Zhuang Jie, didn't you just say that you will never forgive me? Zhuang Jie smiled wryly, because it's just ice cream. It's just an ice cream, if you drop it, you can drop it, anyway, you can buy it again, who will really care about it? What if it is a person's life? That is irreversible. The ceremony failed, if Mu Zi hadn't happened to commit suicide at that time, she would have really died. Died of his crazy and paranoid love. After school in the evening, Murong Cheng came to pick her up from school. Even though he didn't say anything, Mu Zi could still feel his uneasiness. She sat in the car without saying a word. Murong Cheng turned around and drove, both of them pretended nothing happened, but the blunt atmosphere reminded them of what happened all the time. When it was time to eat dinner, even the dull Bai Wei noticed the strangeness between the two brothers and sisters. The dinner table was lifeless. Bai Wei wanted to liven up the atmosphere, and said with a smile, this year, I can go to the island again during the Chinese New Year. Sisi has been nesting in the snake house every day, and he is almost suffering from depression. Now it's all right, wait to go once we are on the island, we can play casually again. Mu Zi's hand holding the chopsticks tightened slightly. She remembered that their family will move to Xianghai City in the next year. She was very hesitant, not sure if she was ready. Once she went to Xianghai City, it meant that the two of them would get rid of their status as siblings and be together for real. At this point, can she be with him without distraction? Mu Zi hesitated. It's not that she doesn't love Murong Cheng anymore, she just feels suffocated and feels that she still needs time to sort out this relationship. Moving after the next year, will it be? Mu Zi hesitated. She wanted to ask if the matter of moving could be pushed back. As soon as he raised his eyes, he touched Murong Cheng's deep and dark eyes. The haze accumulated in his eyes seemed to be suppressed by layers of dark clouds, so gloomy and oppressive that it was hard to breathe. Mu Zi's heart twitched violently, with waves of pain. The words in her mouth were swallowed back, she stopped talking, and lowered her head to eat silently. I'm done eating. Murong Cheng put down the bowl and chopsticks. I have an appointment with friends tonight, so I'll go out for a while. Bai Wei hurriedly said, remember to come back early. He hummed indifferently, got up and put on his coat, and when he walked to the entrance, he stopped for some reason and said, Mom, I'll take Zizi to school tomorrow, so that the driver doesn't have to get up early and wait. Oh, good. Bai Wei was puzzled, but nodded. The door clicked open and closed again. Murong Cheng had already left. Mu Zi's tears flowed out all at once, falling down in a flutter. She didn't know why she was crying. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Blessed to have each other in this life. Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Hua Liao. Chapter 769. Bai Wei was taken aback. Zizi. What's wrong with you? Muzi closed her eyes and shook her head lightly. I'm fine. Did you guys quarrel? Bai Wei was at a loss and looked at Muzi nervously. Did your brother scold you? Bullied you? Muzi still choked with sobs and shook her head. She would rather he scold her and bully her, so that she can hate him and hate him to the fullest. Knowing that he ruined her marriage, ruined her life, did evil things for his own selfish desires, and manipulated her like a doll, but she couldn't hate it. Even fell in love with him. The source of her pain is that she loves him. A heart seems to be sharpened on a blunt knife, making it bloody, and like a self-tortured person, falling into Lingqi's nightmare. Light snow fell at night, falling and fluttering silently. The street lamps on the corner of the street are old, and under the dim light, light snowflakes dance around, like elves falling into the mortal world. Murong Cheng's car was parked in the shadow behind the lights, melting into the darkness. Not long after, a person came from a distance. His footsteps fell on the thin snow that had just accumulated on the ground, and his voice was soft. It's Miss Huolin, Wang Zhan whispered. The gun in the dark was retracted. Huolin looked around the street, but there was no one around. She lightly flicked the snowflakes on her shoulders, opened the car door and quickly got in. Is it him? Murong Cheng asked her. Huolin exhaled and nodded. I tried a few times. It should be my brother, although he lost his memory, but many living habits remain in his body. It is very difficult to impersonate. Wang Zhan couldn't help but said, Miss Huolin, you must be sure, this is related to the future of the Huo family. Our Lord Rong is willing to make concessions because of the kindness of 13 young masters in the past. If someone fishes in troubled waters, but it's too disgusting. There was the matter of returning the soul from the dead, and they had to be vigilant. It's really my brother, Huolin explained. My brother hates wearing things around his neck and wrists. I specially gave him a watch yesterday, but he didn't wear it at all, and he didn't even try it. Also, dismantle the gun. The habit of swinging bullets is also the same as before. When the vegetative state was diagnosed, the doctor also said that there is hope for waking up, so don't be so suspicious. She was very helpless, and sighed depressed after speaking. It's really troublesome. Why did he lose his memory? He doesn't even recognize me. Huo Zheng's ability to wake up was originally a happy event for them, but because of amnesia, they immediately became more defensive and wary, even murderous. Murong Cheng could understand that if he was the one who lost his memory and found out that his position was taken by someone who claimed to be a good brother after waking up, he would also be suspicious. Seniors, even more suspicious. If others believed Huo Zheng whatever they said, then it wasn't Huo Zheng. What should be returned to him? Nothing less, Murong Cheng said lightly. I believe you, but my brother is stunned, and he doesn't believe you. Huolin was caught between the two, worrying. The uncles who came today said that they would hold some kind of retirement meeting for you, as if to let you honorable retirement, let my brother officially take over the position of patriarch. Hey. I feel like a hangmen banquet. Don't go there then. Murong Cheng wanted to calm down and retreat, but the Huo family was unwilling to let him go. It was because he knew the Huo family too well and was too capable. Letting go of a person who is both familiar with himself and very capable is no less than letting go of the biggest hidden danger in the future. Murong Cheng also understands this, so he has nothing to complain about. If he switches positions, he will also choose to kill the grass and root out the root, so as not to leave any future troubles. Thanks, Huolin. Murong Cheng thanked. Thank you. Huolin smiled wryly. I did this for my brother. What if he recovers his memory in the future and regrets it? Murong Cheng smiled, and muttered to himself, maybe it's not that he forgot, it's just that there's no need to remember. Blessed to have each other in this life. Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Hua Liao. Chapter 770. Whether you remember it or not, this position is still up for grabs. Huo Zheng was in a dilemma. If he waits for the arrangement without paying attention, and obediently accepts the position of patriarch, he will be looked down upon by others, and the Huo family will think that he is nothing without Huo Rong. So he can't take what Huo Rong gave him. Only by taking it off with your own hands can people know that he is not a sick child who just lies on the hospital bed. Only by taking it down with their own hands, those members of the Huo family who were originally loyal to Murong Cheng can be convinced by the new head of the family. But, for the sake of fame, fortune, and power, he turned against his good brother who had been utterly devoted to each other, which was even more criticized. The Huo family will feel that he is not loyal and unreasonable, and such a patriarch is also difficult to convince the public. But what if you lose your memory? If you don't remember anything, you can naturally disregard your past friendship, and no one will say a word. At most, you will sigh that the world is unpredictable. Of course, this is just Murong Cheng's own conjecture. No one knows whether Huo Zheng really lost his memory. Huo Lin repeatedly told Murong Cheng that if the other party invited him to the so-called retirement meeting, he must not go to the banquet and leave Qingjiang as soon as possible. After explaining these things, Huo Lin hurried away in the dark. Wang Zhan asked Murong Cheng, "Master, is 13th young master really going to kill us all?" Murong Cheng gently shook his head. He has been lying on the bed for so many years, and now he can't even walk steadily. Even if he wants to kill him, he should first accumulate his own strength. Now he can at most put on a show. He knows I won't follow. He fights. Huo Zheng has great kindness to Murong Cheng. If Murong Cheng still dominates the position and refuses to return after Huo Zheng wakes up, it will be too heartless. Therefore, Murong Cheng was willing to appear defeated to a certain extent, just to allow Huo Zheng to stand up smoothly when he took over the position of patriarch. It didn't take much time to meet Huo Lin. When Murong Cheng returned home, it was less than 9 o'clock in the evening. He habitually went to Mu Zi's room first, but Mu Zi was not there. Murong Cheng frowned, turned around and went to his room, but Mu Zi was not here either. He heard the sound of splashing water in the bathroom, walked out of the room, hesitated for a while at the door of the bathroom, and when the sound of water stopped, it was Bai Wei who came out after taking a bath. Murong Cheng's face turned pale instantly. "Mom, where's Zizi?" Bai Wei was taken aback by him, and murmured, "Isn't Zizi in the room?" Murong Cheng fell into anxiety, and immediately took out his mobile phone to check Mu Zi's current location. The location showed that she was at home. Could it be that she couldn't stand him, threw away the ring and ran away? Bai Wei was flustered by Murong Cheng's reaction, and asked, "Is Zizi not at home? Could it be that she went to the garden? Is there no living room? Why didn't you take good care of her at home?" Murong Cheng's emotions suddenly lost control. He growled in a low voice, turned around and left, wanting to go out to find Mu Zi. At this time, the door on the other side opened, and Mu Zi stood at the door with a confused expression, looking at them. Bai Wei only felt a false alarm, and sighed, "Your brother was looking for you as soon as he came back. Seeing that you were not in the room, he almost went out to look for you." Mu Zi was in Ceci's snake house just now. She explained, "I just changed the water for Ceci." Murong Cheng inhaled slightly, immediately hugged her into his arms, bowed his head and kissed her hair, her eyebrows and eyes, moving all the way around, sealing her tender red lips. Bai Wei was embarrassed. She had no face to reprimand her son, and went back to her room in silence. Mu Zi was so weak from being kissed by Murong Cheng that she could hardly stand up. "I want you." Murong Cheng gnawed at her slender neck, gnashing his teeth fiercely. "I want you now."